Yeah, so this is going to be about how to get work in New Zealand and Australia. I'll explain how to get real responses. And that's important because if you get real responses, then you have a chance to discuss things and move towards the job interview side of things, right? So we need to get a person here at the response in order to get a person here interviewing, and then it's the same thing here from the interview to the job offer. So those are the three critical stages to get through. So that's the challenge. My background is that, as I mentioned, I've been dealing with hiring managers a lot, and that's the key. That's in blue there, hiring managers. The typical path of the job seeker today is to make a CV, make a cover letter, find a job advertisement online, hit the apply now button, and then they hope for someone to respond. But as you guys know, it's a very low response rate. This is my average based on communication with many job applicants like yourself. It comes to about this. You try 100 times, you might get 2 that respond, directly to you about your application. Now, you might have more than that. That's fine. It might be less. Some people have 0 from 100, but the process is wrong. That's not the right way to do it. But that's the typical way, isn't it? That's how everyone is doing it, but it's not working. So, yeah, that we just recognize that. And I'll explain this a little bit deeper here. This is actually a graphic that shows what's actually going on so that you're clear why. It's not me saying this doesn't work, so don't do it. It's not your experience alone, although you probably experienced this. Let's also look at what's going on mechanically behind the scenes. The hiring system doesn't work. Here's how it works. The hiring funnel, there's 2 stages. We'll call this one the orange stage, where the gatekeeper is. We'll call this, I guess, the purple stage. The senior is here. So everyone normally gets blocked right away at the front. Now, this gatekeeper has a job. This junior, remember, this is not a high-end person. This is someone who's lower level and tasked with making a shortlist for the senior to look at. So the junior sees 100 CVs, for example, and the junior will block every one of them except for maybe 3 or 4 that are shortlisted, because the senior wants to look at 3 or 4, not 30, not 10, 3 or 4. Not that, they don't want to waste their time. The senior is wanting to economize time and work with something towards making a decision. So obviously this is kind of brutal, because the junior will use only 7 seconds of time to determine who's on the short list and who gets that automated response. So imagine you make your CV, you find this job, you hit apply now, and then you get this response rate. Well, here it is. That's the response rate. 7 seconds, it bounces back. So now you understand there's the problem for you. You need to get to this, and it's not happening. You're getting stopped here. Why? Well, the junior is a junior, and the task is not to find the best person. The task is to simply find a short list. Foreigners are already, it won't be looked at seriously for most roles. Foreigners won't be, because they're going to just try to find a local. And if they find a foreigner, it will be someone exceptional who stands out. So that word exceptional, remember that, exceptionally good, exceptionally motivated, exceptionally ready, those kind of things. Exceptional is what needs to get through here. How are we going to be exceptional? All right, so here's the modern job market. It doesn't work. We've got applicants spamming CVs. We've got employers sending form letters back to those CVs. These 2 cancel out, and it doesn't really do much. The job market is mostly this blue and red going back and forth all the time. That's most of the job market, this automated stuff. Applicants sending a lot of CVs, not really paying attention to what they're doing. Click, click, click. Employers, automatic responses, templates, get that response back. And there's no real, there's nothing really connecting. So I suggest don't play the job war. And I suggest there are better ways to win the job hunting game. And I just wanted to mention one more thing about that. And I'm not against CV writers. Some of them are probably okay. I haven't met one that really knows what they're doing yet, but I haven't been searching, to be fair. I would really like to see one that understands how to make a CV. It's not just by creating they're really focused on style and format and words, and they think that magic words are the key to success. It says sales, marketing, and promotion. Now let's pretend you're a hiring manager. Now you're looking at these magic words from the CV writer. It says sales, marketing, and promotion. And now, can you decide what kind of person this is? This is the typical problem that people have when they're running around in the circle of confusion, paying attention to some of the people in this area who, not all of them, but if they're not connected to this here, they're going to lead you in the circle of confusion. So this is the key. This may sound obvious, but it has caused a lot of pain where people get this circle of confusion. You have to be in New Zealand to get work, or you have to get an accredited employer if you want to get work. It's not true. Don't go in the circle of confusion talking to these people who are not connected to this important thing in the job market. These people are deciding. And I can tell you why they're deciding and what they're deciding in almost every industry, because I'm in contact with these people all the time. Every client I have is including an hour and a half minimum of me contacting these companies for my clients as a way to do part of the process that I have that I'll talk about. So I'm in constant contact. I'm not running around in circles wondering what's going on. The first question I have as a hiring manager, sales. Okay, sales of what? How much? What's your responsibility? Are you the sales manager? Are you frontline sales? Is it direct? What are we talking about? Marketing and promotion of what? What territory? What's the clients? How much volume? What's the dollar amount? What's the unit amount? Give me a sense of what's going on, please, God. It's like frustrating, right? So that's the problem, is people just ignore it. The most valuable asset is you. You have core strengths. You have achievements. You have a scale of things that you've done. The projects that you've done have a scale, a size. They have a weight or a territory or a projects that you've created, that you've done successfully. There's a scope of your responsibility. Sometimes you're supporting. Sometimes you're leading. Sometimes you're managing a lot of people. Sometimes you're working alone. Sometimes the scope is quite wide, from end to end, from the very beginning of a project all the way to the end, and it's only you responsible for the whole thing. And other times you're very responsible for one part of a larger project, and that's fine, because the larger project might be a million or 10 million or 30 million, whatever it is, but your part is a critical part of that. That's equally important. So we want to get to the achievements where you have really shined as a strong player in your past. We want to talk about the scale so that employers understand what is this thing you're responsible for, and the scope of your responsibility, so they know what role did you play in that. And then the value deliverables, how did you impact that achievement with your actions? And how did it affect the bottom line? In other words, how did that bring value? There's a number of ways that can be done. I'll just leave it at that for now. That's what the idea is. And when we talk about value deliverables, we're really talking about metrics of success. Another word for metrics is measurements. So measurement success, and it requires to dig. This is why CV writers don't dig, because they don't have time. They're budgeting $200. It's actually requiring to know quite a lot about you in order to present that. So it's kind of mean to say they didn't do that if their rates are so, they really need time to dig. Only 5% of the CVs have that level of communication. So one of the things I promote is a 5% CV writing course. And it will take you through a journey so that you can get these contents into a CV, which almost never exists, but it's going to be a really great way to present your strengths. You won't be doing any of this stuff. It looks pretty, but who cares? It's not helping a decision. You don't want pretty, you want content. It's not style, it's the content. It's what you've done in your past. And we all a little bit rough around the edges. We're all individuals, but if we're achieving something, that's what employers need to know about. And that's what's going to get you hired. Your strengths, I'm going to give you one more hint here. So I've told you a lot. It's all about your core strengths. It's all about these kind of things. It's all about measuring your success. Very few people do that. Hiring managers use your past to predict your future. Sorry, but that's how they do it. There's no other way to really do it. That's all they really have, is to look at your past and predict, how are you going to work with me? So that's what we need to dig into, is your past, not your dreams, not your visions. It's mainly what you've done. And the best way to find that core strengths is in two places. Now, here's the questions for you, so you can do it yourself. Question number one, can you think of a time when you achieved something fantastic? It was a celebrated achievement. You won an award. It was a really big event in your life, and you overcame that challenge. That's category one. And everyone has something in this area if you've been working for more than 5 years. And then is the other category, and this one is overlooked. This one is often forgotten, but it's also important, and hiring managers need to know what this is, because this is quite good. This is the bread and butter. This is the kind of things that every business needs. Those things you do ongoing, regular, day to day, always to a high standard, very reliable. That's equally important. You can't have just one side and not the other. There's a balance between those two areas. You have some things you do every day consistently, very good professionally, and if there's any problem, this like the back of your hand. It's just very common knowledge for you. So that's the most valuable asset. That's how to find it, and why you need to look in that direction, because this is nonsense. You need to communicate a lot more clearly about what you've done in your past, that you can help a hiring manager feel confident about your future. Let them feel confident using value metrics and numbers of your achievements and scale and scope. That's a critical page here to really understand. It takes time to dig in, but this is the essence right here. The critical path is going to be preparing your profile. Everyone is going to do that. And you prepare in order to apply. Everyone's going to apply. That's a process. And then you apply in order to get dialogue, because without dialogue, you won't get the job interview. We talked about that. You will get a job interview if the dialogue goes well. And then from the job interview, that's the only time you'll get the job offer. It won't happen before. And then from the job offer, that's where the work comes in. And then residency after you work in a job, in an area that complies. So that's the path. It's critical path. It doesn't skip anything. Not for you. If your father works in the factory, you can skip all the way down to the job offer, but that's not my clients. We go through this whole thing. I understand how hiring managers think because of my experience here, talking with many thousands of them over 10 years, and now in the last 4 years, because this is just the first 10 years of my work, placing temporary and permanent roles, general manager all the way down to general labor, 500 people per year for 10 years average. It was just a very big flow rate in a small city, connecting with a lot of hiring managers in the largest fishing port in Australasia. So this is a very big factory, tradesmen, engineering, health and safety was there. Everything was there in a very small town. And I was very busy dealing with a lot of these guys. And I found out, if you want to make these guys happy, if you want their exclusive business and you don't want them to use any other, in my case, I was a recruiter back then. I'm not anymore, but first 10 years I was a recruiter. If I wanted their exclusive business, I could have it. All I needed to do was to deliver good profiles in front of their desk according to what they're looking for consistently. And if there's a profile that didn't match exactly what they wanted, I didn't hide the fact. I told them, this person is the kind of person you want, except for no bachelor's degree, for example. However, does have an NQF6 and has experience that's relevant to someone with a bachelor's degree, if not better. So with this kind of communication that's very clear, they feel appreciated. They feel like they're in control. And I want them to feel like they're in control. They should be in control. If they're not in control of their hiring process, I've got no business working with them. I need to keep them in control. That needs to happen. So if I do that consistently, they don't want to go anywhere else. And they're happy to keep me in business if I'm listening and supplying consistently. So I want to do the same thing for you. Here's how to get it done. This is what I found. The system's been refined for the last 4 years. I have it broken down into 5 categories. In the past 14 years, I've placed people in every industry you can think of, and I've met thousands of hiring managers in the process of understanding what they need, how they can be placed, and what is the best strategy to give hiring managers an easy time making hiring decisions. And I'm ready to pass that on to you as a client. And even if you would like to just send your CV to me, I'll give you personalized responses and helpful insights that you may use to advance yourself in your efforts to find work in New Zealand or Australia. Just send your CV to this address, tate@employmentforimmigration.nz. I will come back to you with helpful insights in about 1 day.